Yo, what is going on, team? Welcome back to another Elevate interview. We got another OG member, my man Matty Ballgame, Matt Kall, the legends. Dude, it's been a fucking honor to have you on the team, man. I mean, we've been riding since the beginning of the year. You've been a part of Elevate, you've been an OG member, like I said, and I'm just excited to dive into your experience. But I like to just get a little backstory, dude. When did we first connect? And I mean, where were you at when we first connected?
Well, happy to be here. First off, let me just say that. And I love how you gave me the shouts to the old Twitter handle and the new Twitter handle, dude. Uh, but yeah, what a year it's been. I'm pretty sure it was like maybe a couple days into the new year. I had started putting out these like throwback Thursday like threads, I guess. And this was, I don't even know, I guess my first start into producing some content on Twitter, and I would just go through my bookmark tweets and find ones that really left an impact on me. I would journal about some of them, write about some in my journal. So that was cool. So I'm like, hey, why don't I give some shouts to these people in some threads? I think I typically did like, I don't know, maybe like 5 posts, and yours was one of them. I gotta look, dude. The other week, I was actually trying to look back and find the thread with the tweet because I was like, oh man, I definitely got to try and put this out. But for some reason, it wouldn't come up in my search box, so I'll have to keep digging for it. But I posted one of your tweets, and you had liked it, commented back, and then I think you ended up reaching out in the DMs and be like, hey, just want to hop on a call. Let me know if you got some time. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, nobody else responded to really any of the messages like that. So I was like, cool. And we ended up hopping on a call. I think we hopped on one call just to kind of like intro and stuff. And then I think we hopped on maybe a second call.
I don't even remember, bro. I do.
Yeah.
I remember our second call then.
Okay. All right. But that, I mean, we pretty much just talked kind of like backstory and stuff at first, I think, and then you got more into the training side of things, and you were like, "Hey, it's just an option if you were looking to get into some training. Let me know." And so I think all I had to do was give it like a night's sleep. Like as soon as I woke up the next morning, I was just like, "All right, let's do this thing," and was just all in. So that's kind of how our journey started, at least from what I can remember.
Yeah, bro. I remember just like obviously this was early 2022. I didn't have like a crazy amount of clients at the time. I had a solid base of clients. But I remember, just being like, hey, dude, if you're interested, let me know. And then you text and, you were like, yeah, give me the weekend, just kind of think on it. Like, I'll get back to you on Monday. And then you said something just called you and you just said, fuck it, like, let's ride. And now looking back, man, like at the time you were like, I just felt the urge, like, let's just fucking do it. But now looking back, wasn't God just working, bro? Like for you to have bookmarked that tweet, journaled that tweet, and then the day that you shared that tweet, and then I go engage and I shoot you a DM, and then now here we are, basically a year later. You're starting your own business. You're fucking up 30 pounds. Like you're crushing all these PRs, about to run a fucking Spartan. Like you're a brand new fucking man, if we're being honest. So dude, it's just been such an honor to serve you, like I said in the beginning. But I mean, just God was just working, man. Like just in these little ways, God was working. And I know God was absolutely working when I asked you to join Elevate, dude. Walk us through, what was it like joining Elevate for the first time? I think you joined around March, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
um do you remember like how many members were in? What was your experience like just right off the bat with the group?
Yeah, so our coaching, you kind of coached me one on one for maybe like a month or so, maybe a month and a half, and then you extended the invite to join the group um, around March. So yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, I think my first call, geez, I want to say maybe there was like 8 or 10 guys on the first call, um, just from all over the country. I mean, I know there's a couple dudes out in Indy with you. I know Colin, I think, was on that first call. JR, Marsh, Austin, Cam. So I mean, you had networked and connected with these guys too, so that was pretty cool. Um, but I didn't really have too many expectations really going into the first call. I wasn't really sure like what to expect, so I'm like, all right, like I'll just kind of just go in and see what it's like and meet some other guys. And right away, you were just like, you put me on the spot. You were like, all right, like, let's go share the story. What are you about? Like, so definitely was a little nervous, kind of putting myself out there to the guys for the first few calls, really, and just kind of putting my own 2 cents in when it came to certain things. But man, I mean, seeing how the calls have evolved like throughout the course of the year. And I mean, we've always kind of like kept a theme, or you've always brought like a specific question or two that it's like, okay, this is what we're gonna get into. Um, but I just feel like the evolution of the calls throughout the year has just kind of stepped up, and maybe that's more people getting into. But also, I think the things we talk about have just gone so deep, and guys are just sharing like what the message means to them.
Yeah, dude. And the depth on the calls is just unreal. Like I remember, like I don't necessarily remember your first call specifically, but I remember the early days of like the core group's first calls when we had guys getting on and sharing their testimony to God, sharing their comeback story. You with your DUI and your addictions that you were dealing with, like you sharing how you overcame that story, and then reached out to me to ultimately one on one work together, and now again here we are. But just the vulnerability and the depth on the calls stood out to me early as well. And I mean, bro, the evolution of the calls, but fuck, man, the evolution of everything. Like, I was talking to, on these other interviews, I was talking to these guys, like, there's like 10 to 15, maybe 20 guys. Like, we just got on the calls. There was no apparel, there was no events, like, there was nothing like concrete like we got now. So I think just as we all leveled up as men, the community just leveled up together. Obviously, I was able to go all in on it and put a huge chunk of my time into growing this thing and building it out. Um, yeah, dude, I just love your experience from the calls, just the depth on the calls. But take us through your experience of just everything else outside the calls. I mean, Discord specific. Let's not get into in person stuff yet. Discord specific. What is just a day to day like in Elevate for you? What's your favorite part about the Discord, about the community that's just rocking and rolling in there?
Well, I think it's a really cool app, and I like the way you designed it. There's just so many different sections that guys can post in. So I know there's kind of like the general chat where people can just be like saying what up, get after it on a certain day. Um, but being able to post different things, maybe like the meditation stuff. I mean, you built out like Spartan race stuff for events. Um, there's like faith sections, music sections. So there's kind of like this cool complete package of, I don't know, just day to day life that if you're in need or looking for something in a given area, you can just like go to this section and be like, all right, what have people been posting about? Um, the prayer section is awesome. Guys are always posting in there. Um, so yeah, I mean, it like just the day to day kind of how I'm feeling. I've kind of taken a step back, I guess, and with some of the new members and just been kind of just listening and just like kind of just getting to know some of these guys without posting all that much. Um, I know that that's it's going to change. I'll get back in there posting some more, but at least kind of with how the group's been growing, seeing how everybody's interacting, that's kind of been my approach the past couple of weeks. Um, but yeah, I mean, I had joined another Discord server before, or I know like maybe some other coaches have stuff like this and what have you. Um, but I don't know how like private that is. Like if it's just one coach kind of bringing in people, um, and you can grow it. But this just had more of like a community like mindset to it. Um, sure, you're the one that like built it and you post regularly. It's like you're always in there, but it's not like everybody's always just engaging with you. Like there's plenty of guys in there that have their own relationships that they've been able to form over the past year. So I think it's that's also a cool aspect. It's just like it's more of like a community front per se.
Yeah, and I think the calls have even reflected that of just like me letting other guys lead the calls, or just I want the wanted the calls to just be like a, even if I bring a topic, I want it to be a roundtable discussion. I mean, like you said, I'm calling you out on your first call, like, yo, share the story, tell us about yourself, because I found like if you can break that ice and you can step up and communicate to this group, you can communicate to anyone. Like, because this is a group of leaders, this is a group of guys you respect, this is a group of guys who are getting the fuck after it. If you can step up and lay your vulnerability and your ego down in front of these guys, then you can do that to anyone. So that's why I'm just so adamant on getting everyone to speak right out of the gate. One, I mean, there's just connection there, but two is I want guys to be formed as leaders, and this group is a special opportunity to immediately just get that sense of leadership when you step in and start communicating. So I love that roundtable community aspect. It's been definitely a focus of mine to make sure I'm not the one up on stage, preaching at the group. I'm in the audience with everybody else. I'm in the trenches with everybody else. I'm sitting right here beside you. We're fucking competing together. I mean, shit, bro. We're running the same program. We're training together. Like that just feels really good for me to hear, because that's definitely been a focal point of mine, is just make sure that maybe I did build this thing, maybe I am the one orchestrating everything. I mean, if we want to be real, profiting off of everything, but yeah, like just a round table, I'm in the audience too. So I love that, dude. Let's dive into, like you said when you first joined, no in-person events. Let's dive into the last in-person event we had. I know you've been to, you came to Mitch's seminar, kind of counting that as an event, and then now JR's House of Steel first annual Elevate Deadlift event. Walk us through your experience of the House of Steel, bro. What was that weekend like to you? What was your favorite aspect of it? Just walk us through your the life of Matt Kall that weekend.
For some backstory first, I mean, geez, when I first started hopping on calls back in March, JR, he had been sharing like, okay, opening the gym and been kind of capturing his story at first. So, I mean, ever since he started mentioning it, I knew I wanted to at least get out there at some point. And at the time, I obviously we didn't have anything planned, so it was like, all right, maybe some point in the future. I didn't really have a set date on getting out there to see the gym, um, but was I just love seeing him put stuff out on Twitter, promoting what he's trying to do. So then when you and him ended up, starting pushing the deadlift event, I was like, whoa, okay, all right, this is something that's got to happen. Um, so ended up like getting everything squared away in terms of like house, airfare, just being able making sure I could take time off, all that stuff. When you guys had released the dates, and then had quite the Uber ride over to the gym. I don't need to get into the specifics on the call, but man, dude, the Cleveland definitely welcomed me in a special way on my way over to the gym. Dude. But I think the biggest thing for me that I appreciated about that weekend was just being able to train with the guys in the community. I know back at Mitch's seminar, we were able to do that too, because part of Mitch's whole seminar was on the fitness side. So, between the lifts and us just hanging out at IVB lifting, we were able to do some of that. But at least to follow that up at JR's gym that he has like built out, found all that equipment, built it up from the ground floor. It had like a certain nostalgia to it, and then to get the guys in the group out there to train in it was just like, whoa, this is pretty cool. I found myself a couple times just stepping back during the deadlift event itself and just being like, dang, this is really cool. Like, yeah, we all had like personal numbers and stuff we wanted to hit in terms of like the deadlift itself. But just being able to take that step back and be like, man, there's just nothing better than this, just being with guys, training. We went to church on Sunday, so that was sweet. Went to breakfast, just hung out at the Airbnb we rented, so really got to go get to know guys on a more personal level. Yeah, man, it was just an incredible weekend. I'd never been out to Ohio before, so that was my first time out there. First time seeing the Great Lakes. Just huge,
Getting,
dude.
not to mention,
What?
I said getting in the Great Lakes, not to
Oh,
mention.
yeah, yeah. Talk about a freaking ice bath and a half right there, dude. That stuff was cold. Um, just all around a great. The anti-sissy movement, freaking just finding water in the woods to fill up our buckets.
Man,
Um,
who's gonna carry the boats, bro?
yep, yep. I thought that was a really creative idea. So just all in all, great weekend with the dudes. Yeah, it's an experience I'll be able to take with me forever. I put out that thread kind of capturing my year a little bit a couple weeks ago, and that was one of the things I put in there. It's just, geez, to think me just hopping on a call back in March for Elevate, and then ended up going out to Indy, going out to Ohio. Um, wouldn't have said it at the start, but I'm so happy that's kind of where God led me, led us, and yeah, just very grateful for how that turned out this year.
Amen to that, brother. Dude, what I'm just curious right now. It's kind of just sparked the question of, you're talking about the early OG calls back in March, getting to know the guys, seeing JR's story. You had built a lot of relationships, one on one heading into the House of Steel. What was the experience of the relationships going from a Twitter timeline to the Elevate community to now I'm actually in person training with these guys, hanging out with these guys, praying with these guys? What was that like, that dynamic of it, of going from Twitter to community all online to now I'm in person physically doing these things with these guys?
Oh, so much better. I mean, I think I said it maybe at Zach's conference too. Just like being able to step out of the phone, I guess is our main way of interacting with a lot of these people on Twitter. Being able to step out of the phone and just meet them in person and hang with them in person was awesome. It Everyone that's in the group and that I've met has been their authentic self. Like if I go to Twitter, it's not like I'm going to be seeing Jake Wells or Sam Burns or Mike Schusler. Like any of these guys are just being their authentic self on the timeline. So I already got a good idea of who they were as men, as fathers, as husbands, who wherever they're at in their journey. Um, and then one by one just kind of started to reach out. Either they'd reach out to me, I'd reach out to them, and we just hop on a call. And it being in person was just, it's just different. It's just different. So I'm glad that as many of the guys were able to go out to JR's gym and be a part of that experience. I mean, geez, who knows how many guys we're gonna get out there next year, back for year two. But that was something I made it a point to kind of reach out to some of them beforehand and at least have a conversation with them and get to know them a little bit more. Um, but there were still a couple guys that ended up coming along the way. I know like Tyler Key, Colton ended up being like, JR was talking to Colton and he ended up hanging with us that weekend. So there were still some guys that I didn't really know personally all that well, but still got to know over the weekend. So yeah, just incredible, man. Incredible.
I think a good point to highlight, bro, is that you said you saw their authentic self on the timeline, and then it just fit and it matched to who they were when you met them in person. I think
Right.
that's so key to highlight because number one, a lot of people who are consuming this Twitter content, consuming any of this stuff, they question like, is this legit? Is this legit? I get on calls all the time, like, man, I was kind of hesitant to reach out. I just don't know this whole Twitter thing, like online thing. Like to us, it's very normalized because we're like in it every day. We've talked to a lot of guys, we met a lot of guys. We're in it day to day. But to the average person, like this shit is not normal. Like, and so you kind of question, like, is this real? Are these people actually doing this stuff? And there's a lot of people on Twitter that I've met that are faking it, believe it or not. Like there are some people who are not living the life, they're just posting the life.
Hmm.
And you see that all the time across social media platforms, Instagram, less so on Twitter, but more so Instagram and other visual stuff, with filters and like rented Lambos. And like that's an extreme level, but like just some fake people on social media. So I love the fact that you were like, I basically already knew who these men were from their content because these dudes are legit and they're sharing legit shit. Like that's just what's happening. We are a group of real motherfuckers who are putting in the real fucking work. So I just wanted to highlight that because there's a lot of speculation around the legitimacy of people on the internet in general. And then especially, within even my personal experience of getting on calls, people being like, like, is this legit? Like, what is this? Like, I'm just like, yeah, it's legit. Like, it's $15 a month. Like, come on, find out for yourself. But
Yeah.
definitely, you got some.
Yeah, yeah. Just to add to that, I mean, a lot of the guys in the group too are promoting certain content. They want to help people with a certain thing, whether that be with fitness or nutrition or how to
Or
be,
addiction.
yes, or addiction for sure. Um, so a lot of times the content will be tailored more towards that. But all the guys will still just post stuff about their daily lives. So you still kind of got a sneak peek into that. Um, and then just being in these in-person events, just realizing that like, yeah, they're actually humans behind this screen, like, and behind this profile picture and behind this profile. Like, I remember back when I kind of had investigated, like, okay, do I want to start like putting out content? There was the whole question of like, well, do I want to have an Anon account or do I want to make this come from my account? And I didn't really know what I wanted maybe my niche to be per se at the time, but I was like, that was a question that came up. And, seeing people like JK Molina, Dan Coe, some of these guys that have the bigger accounts, Dakota Robertson, like they were all just saying, no, like if you're going to build a brand, if you're going to start putting yourself out there, don't do it behind an Anon account. Like, do it with your face. People are going to engage with that so much better. And that's, I mean, for all the Anon accounts out there, I ain't hating on you. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm just saying, you know, I came to the decision like, yes, like I'm going to put my values out there. It's going to be my face behind what I'm saying. And if you like it, that's great. Hop on board, shoot me a follow. We can connect. If you don't like it, hey, there's thousands of other people that you can go get your content from if that's what you want. So um, that was a little long-winded response to what you were saying. But anyway.
Yeah, dude. I mean, just moral of it all. Like we got just dudes walking the walk, talking the talk, but they're backing it up. So incredible just to see because you can't fake it in person. Like this shit is just authentic. You can't fake it in person. So let's keep moving forward through here with your experience, bro. What what has faith been like? Because I know you're a brother in Christ. I mean, you've accelerated my faith. Just being so close to me, we've developed our relationship, and you've helped me with my faith as well. And I know after hearing your story back, I kind of was a proponent of your faith. So walk us through what has faith been like to you, and how has Elevate the group helped to accelerate or maybe walk alongside you in your faith journey?
Mhm. I've been talking to God a lot about this over the past couple weeks, just kind of like as I've been reflecting on the year. And because this time last year, I mean, I had started reading the Bible before we connected and everything, and I was just kind of plugging through the Old Testament, like page one to the end, and I was just going along. So when we had connected, you had recommended Traders Point out in Indy because I don't go to a church out here. That is one of my goals for 2023 is to find a church closer to me. Um, but you were like, yo, you got to check out this church, you know, that we have in Indy. So you shot me the YouTube link, and man, I was hooked. I knew that I needed, like, reading the word was great, and like, you know, figuring out kind of what those stories meant to me and how that impacted my life and how I view the world was great. But being able to have like pastors and that setting where they're teaching me about the word in a different way just completely brought my faith to the next level. I mean, holy cow. For the first like 4 months of listening to Traders Point, I felt like every single Sunday the sermon was directly at me. And dude, I probably cried like 75% of the time. Dude, I was just like, it's even happening right now. Like just when I thought I had come to this huge realization, had this light bulb moment with like a sermon. They dropped another sermon on me, and I was just like, okay. um, so that was I and that was a little bit before you had asked me to join the Elevate call. So one thing I've been talking to God about and just recognizing has been like how natural that progression has been. Like from starting out with the Bible, you know, just like seeing what it could be like, and then connecting with you, the path that we went down, you know, showing me Traders Point, starting to get service and church like that, and then getting into the Elevate calls. I mean, you know, there's guys that have had a deeper faith, I guess, for a longer period of time. Um, I did go to church when I was younger. My parents are both Lutheran Protestants. But just did not get much from the sermons, whether that was my mindset at the time of me being younger. Um, you know, looking back, I do think that, like the structure of the service and the things they talked about, just I don't know. It just wasn't a good setting for me to be able to get out of it. So that's why I was a little bit nervous when you had originally given me Trader's Point. I was like, oh man, like I don't know what to expect, but I was like, all right, give it a shot. And there's just no pressure with Traders Point. So that's another huge thing I like about them. It's just like you can just work on your faith and just work on like what it means to be a son of God. And I don't need to attach myself to a particular religion and have that hang over me. So I've really enjoyed that. And then the guys in the group, just oh man, you, JR, Jake, I know he's quiet, but he's got some knowledge when it comes to faith and just what it means to him. Then reaching out guys like Chris Ray, Sam Burns, Mike Schusler, Austin. I mean, just hearing all of these testimonies about, you know, whether it's they heard a sermon on Sunday and came back and are sharing it with everybody, or talking about what they prayed about in the group or the Discord. Um, it's been cool to see how God has been working in other people's lives, as well as my own. One of the big things, at least for me, going into the new year, I was like, man, I just been trying to do so much alone.
Yeah.
And all right, you just need to figure out like, I had just moved back in November too. So I was in a new town. I was like, all right, you know, got to reach out, try and meet some new people. I'm like, all right, the online community is a chance to be able to do that too. So just being able to be surrounded by a community, be surrounded by guys, not have to, you know, try and figure everything out on my own, ask for advice, ask for support. Um, man, that's just been the uh, just very grateful. Just been really reflecting on that and saying how grateful I am to God, to guys like yourself and in the community. Because I don't even know where I'd be like if this year didn't take place or didn't happen the way it happened. Like I don't even want to try and picture what it would have been like. So, um, yeah, man, just a lot of gratitude as we close out the year.
2022, year of growth. Growth.
Yes,
But dude, there's a lot to unpack in there with just the faith experience. So I love how you said Trader's Point doesn't have pressure. And I think that that is so important when it comes to faith. And I think that that's also so important for people, listening to this. Like, I believe joining Elevate, there's no pressure. We're not forcing shit down your throat. And number one is we are not acting like we are anybody that we're not. Like
right,
like you go to a church and if it feels like there's pressure, there's fake people. Like there's fake people who are acting like they are perfect Christians and then behind closed doors they are not perfect Christians. Because no one's a perfect Christian. If you're trying to act like it, you're just a fucking idiot. If we're just being honest. Hate to go there, but it's the truth. So in Elevate, man, you just come as you are and we just meet you wherever you're at naturally almost like we just had a guy come in yesterday and he's like, hey, he's like, I kind of dabbled with this whole faith thing. God and I have kind of been in and out with our relationship. Obviously God's been with him the whole time, but he said, I've been kind of in and out of my relationship with God. Where do I begin? And I just, I gave him my answer where my beginning was. A couple other guys gave their perspective on where their beginning was. And then we are now rolling out an Elevate Bible study. But my biggest thing with this group is just the authenticity of I'm no better than you, you're no better than me, I'm no better than the next guy. Like we are just here to sin together and to strive to be better Christians together. Like of course we all sin. We're sinners that have been saved, and we're just working together to obviously try to sin less, of course, but just brothers in Christ, man, that are just walking together. It's nobody putting anyone down, nobody treating anyone any different. It's just come as you are, good, bad, ugly. We'll take it all. We'll surround you. We'll support you, and we'll just fucking lift you up. Like that's really all it is. So I love the no pressure aspect that I think that this group brings, as well as Traders Point. Kudos to Traders Point for doing that because I totally agree. I've had that same experience, but the good church is just powerful, man. Traders Point is just powerful. Peak City, like two churches that I've been to, just wow, just the power in a good, solid, just authentic church. Like a guy like Petey who baptized me after the Do Hard Things conference. Like just shout out to him for just bringing that authenticity of I got tattoos. I drink some whiskey, I smoke cigars. Maybe he throws out the occasional cuss word. I'm not sure. We're not that tight. I don't know, but like he's not trying to be somebody he's not. He's bringing up his skeletons out of the closet on the regular basis to just be able to relate with people because we all know everyone has the skeletons, everyone sins, everyone messes up. So that vulnerability, is where the relatability and that connection comes in. So this group does an incredible job from a faith standpoint of doing that. Um, but I got two more things, bro, to kind of wrap us up. Number one, I want to dive into is 2023. What are you most looking forward to with the Elevate community?
honestly, just just continuing to see the progress. I mean, the sky's the limit. Um, like I know you probably have your own goals and stuff that you want to reach with the group, but just being able to see it get to the point where it's at with the amount of guys in there and just sharing and getting to know each other. I'm looking forward to seeing it keep growing. Um, I think it's pretty sweet that I mean, the events are going to be incredible. We're about to head down to Texas in March
Yeah,
for the good old Spartan race. First time in that lovely state. Um,
man, I'm pumped for that.
Me too. Me too. And I'm hoping it's not that hilly either. Like up here, up in Vermont, dude, literally did the Spartan on like a ski mountain, and that shit was just the cardio side of that was just not too much fun. So I'm hoping Texas is a little more flat, and we,
We
but
can pray on that.
yeah, for sure, for sure. That's gonna be sweet because there were up in Vermont, there were definitely some groups there, some teams that like everybody's wearing the same T-shirt and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I I don't even think I mentioned it to you. We might have I don't even we just naturally got to like, oh, we should just run a Spartan with Elevate. And I was like, oh dang, that's
Totally.
actually yeah.
Just fell into our lap, bro.
Right. So that'll be it's just a cool way for guys to be able to test out their strength. I mean, I know most of the dudes in there are in the gym doing some sort of fitness related activity in some way, shape, or form, but you're just picking up freaking sandbags, carrying shit around, doing rope climbs, like monkey bars, crawling under barbed wire. Like it's just like kind of cool to get out of the gym and just do something like that. And there were, you're gonna have to tell yourself that I can do this. Like there's gonna come a couple times in the race where you're just like, oh shit, man, like what am I even doing? Like, and you just gotta find it, dig deep down, find that confidence to keep going, and get it done. So it'll be cool to have other guys around that, if you pass someone in the race, it's like, let's go, dude. Like, and then that just kind of gets the adrenaline flowing a little bit as well. So that's gonna be a sweet way to kick off the year. We got Appalachian Trail, the AT. Man, that's gonna be something for this group, dude. um, and then year two of JR's, House of Steel deadlift event. So we got a few events packed into the year. I hope. No, it's not like you got to go to all of them. I hope all the guys in the group can at least make it to one of them.
Totally.
Um, and just be a part of the experience because, like you had said, it's just we are our authentic selves in the group, and we just bring that to the events that we're a part of. We talk business we get serious and talk certain things every once in a while, but we know how to kick it and just have some fun too and just shoot the shit with each other. So I think those will be a great opportunity for guys to get in on.
Totally. It's a great balance there of just, pushing and then also just kicking it and hanging as a group. So it's gonna be a ton of fun, dude. I'm beyond pumped. Uh Seriously, like it's just surreal moments to be hosting events for me like this. Like just I would have never imagined. So God is just working, man. He's working. I mean, we're up 15 members in the last 16 days, 85 guys right now. Just hit that today. So just like, wow, like averaging basically a member a day in December, like, that's just crazy, dude. That is just crazy to me. And I know 2023 is not slowing down. So I'm excited. But to the people who are trying to take that number to 100, they're considering joining. They felt community on the Twitter timeline. They're listening to this. They've seen some clips. They follow the Elevate page, maybe. What would your advice be, bro?
Just join. Just join. I mean, I think as men, it's just like we have something deep in us that God gave us that's just like we just want to build and just like pursue this best version of ourselves. And I can't speak for women. I think God gave that to them too. But
Had to cover your bases there.
gotta make it's 2022, dude.
Bro, we're
Gotta
not we're not televising this or anything. Like you're good, dog. it's
but the group's mostly men, so I'm at
all
least
men. There's no men. There's no women.
um
We don't
at least
allow women. We're sexist. I'm surprised we haven't got any sexist comments. 85 men. Where's the women, huh?
Yeah, man.
Oh man. But yeah, keep going, bro.
No, at least for the men, it, I had this hunger to like grow physically, mentally, um, and the Elevate group has allowed me to do all of those things with other people. I certainly think that you can grow in those three areas on your own. There's nothing stopping people from being able to do that. But I think as humans, we're just like part of the whole process of growing and becoming a better person is doing that with other people. So I've been lucky enough to grow in those three areas. I wouldn't have been able to grow spiritually had it not been for the group. I wouldn't have been able to grow mentally if it wasn't for the group. I mean, physically, I had kind of been putting in some work, but I had hit a plateau. So it's like, okay, you say all the time you're a product of your environment. I hit this plateau and I'm like, I need to surround myself with people that I know will get me to a new baseline. Um, as a person. So I think that's the biggest thing is if you're given it any hesitation at all, just take a step out into the water, just have that faith, give it a shot, and I promise you won't be disappointed.
Amen. Good note to end on there, bro. But to anybody listening to this, just fucking join us, man. Like right now, I once this goes out or whatever, it'll be $30 a month. But just join us. $30 a month is nothing. And that increase in price is only going to give me more opportunity to make some bigger shit happen. So it's going to be bigger shit. I put every dime back into events and shirts and all kinds of stuff. So it's not like I'm profiting big off of this stuff. So appreciate you for coming on, bro. Appreciate everybody for listening. And 2023 is just going to be an insane fucking year for this team. And I'm fucking hyped, man. I know I'm cussing, but I'm on fire. Like nobody. I don't think anyone feels the energy that this group feels right now. I really don't. So if you want to feel this momentum, this energy, like get the fuck on board and let's go.
For sure, let's ride.